Welcome back to SoulBack. This is the R&B podcast. Kyle here. I've got Tom and Ed with me. What is going on, guys?
Oh yes, what's good? Another day in R&B paradise.
I gotta be honest, guys. This is a good year for R&B so far, man. I'm excited.
Yeah,
it's been a
it
decent
has definitely
year.
been.
I mean, it's just a few months in, and we've got some okay stuff.
Yep. And actually, it's not all been okay, guys. As you guys know, the Millennium tour has kicked off, and it's doing well. But Ed, Tom, Raz B has quit the group. But good news, he is back in with the group. I don't know what's going on at this point.
Well, here's the thing, player. And as usual when these things come up, there's a whole bunch of memes and a whole bunch of jokes and whatever. And you know me, I can rag on B2K all day long. But if your man Raz B is having this much trouble, and it's allegedly linked to the homie Chris Stokes, like sometimes y'all, everything ain't a joke. Dude's been through some stuff. So I'm sure his arm was twisted to, hey man, get back on this tour, you messing up our money. But we know his story, and we know that it's not easy. So this whole reunion, as I said way back, I remember telling Kyle, this thing might be a little tougher than we expect because there's a lot of baggage that comes with this. So if my boy is having some troubles dealing with some past issues related to that, we can't really laugh that stuff off. I know everybody's just excited to hear freaking bump over and over again, but these some real lives we're talking about here. So I hope the homie gets his stuff together. I can't even joke on that.
Yeah, Ed's right, because abuse is no joke. That should not be taken lightly. I'm more upset that, Kyle, you showed me the track list. Half the songs are Omarion solo songs. I'm not cool with that. Are you guys?
Absolutely not. If you want to see Omarion and his backup dancers, why call it B2K?
Well, yeah. But what upsets me even more, guys, than this whole Raz B thing that's going on, Tom, we found out your boy Orion. He's up in the balcony selling VIP tickets to B2K. Isn't Orion a solo artist himself?
Listen, if you're listening to this podcast and you know songs by Orion, major shout out to you. You're a real R&B fan, but let's be real. I mean, what has Orion even been doing for the past decade plus? I mean, come on. Is it really surprising?
Fair enough. Yeah, but because I am so disappointed in the turnout for this Millennium tour, I think it's time for another R&B trivia. Are you guys ready?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know the third song on the second B2K album, all right?
And that's what I'm saying. What do you have in your hat this time, dude? We're good, but I don't know if we're as good as you claim.
No, we got to take it back to the basics. We're going back to Keith and Musiq, if that makes it a little better for you guys.
It could.
Oh, no.
So to show how sophisticated and talented these songwriter/artists are, I'm gonna say out a lyric, and you guys gotta tell me what song it's from. One is a Musiq Soulchild song, and one is a Keith Sweat song. So
okay.
I think in order to make this fair, Tom, I'll give you the Musiq song, and Ed, you can take the Keith song.
Okay.
All right, Tom, are you ready?
Yes.
What song is this? As if I blink my eyes, and suddenly she up and disappeared.
You would think I just sit here listening to Musiq Soulchild songs all day, every day. You know how much music comes out on a daily basis that we have to listen to for You Know I Got Soul? And you want to name one line from a song from 2003 and think I would know it? Come on!
Do you know it?
That's my excuse for saying I have no idea.
Ed, do you want to go in for the steal, or do you not know it either?
It's familiar, but I have no idea what it is. You always pick the most obscure line, too.
That's what makes it fun. It's the song off the debut, Merry Go Round.
Oh, gosh, it is. It's like one of my favorite songs from him.
If someone was listening to this podcast and they knew that answer, if you knew that answer at home, man, props to you. You're another real R&B fan, because this is not easy stuff here.
No, I guarantee you somebody knows it. I should have got that one.
All right, Ed, you ready for the Keith lyric?
I'm ready for you to pick some Target bonus track I've never heard of.
No, it's not a Target bonus. I wouldn't do that to you again.
Again?
Here we go. The lyric is, how can I be wrong, baby, when it feels so good to you?
Is that a real lyric?
Yeah.
Say it again?
How can I be wrong, baby, when it feels so good to you?
And it feels so good to you.
That is classic Keith Sweat groundbreaking lyrics right there.
First of all, I'm going to break your ground if you stay over there. But how can I be wrong, baby? I give up. What is it?
It is the song. Tom, do you want to go in for the steal? I know you're an avid Keith Sweat fan.
I gotta be honest, man. Keith Sweat is not really in my rotation at all these days, so I'll pass.
All right. Ed, the song is Tell Me It's You I Want, off the debut.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Of course, again, the random songs that I don't listen to that much.
Dang.
Tom, you never heard that song
I knew that
before.
one too.
No, you didn't.
You did?
No, he didn't.
I have no idea.
He's never heard that song before.
So we got a fake group of R&B fans here. Good to know. Listen, guys, if you gave me an obscure Mario song, which you guys can do next week, I will be able to name that song.
I guarantee you could. Well, see, now he's going to spend the whole week learning Mario lyrics just for this challenge.
Damn right. Can we get into the new music, guys?
Before we do, let me just give a quick shout out to someone real quick. Slick Partner on Twitter. This dude holds us down, holds down the podcast, the site, everything, supports R&B. So just wanted to shout him out real quick. And we should get back to doing this every week, guys. We have a lot of good supporters out there of what we do, of the podcast, of R&B. Let's do this once a week, guys, at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. Shout out to the homie. Always supports both sites. Always shows a lot of love. We love that y'all love what we're doing.
That is 100% true, but back to the new music, guys. Tori Kelly hit #1 on Urban AC last week with the song
will you
Automatic.
Stop this? First of all, hold on.
What?
Let's back it up because your boy is full of lies and falsehoods. Please start that sentence over.
Tori Kelly's alter ego Bonfyre hit #1 with the song Automatic last week.
Oh my god. Now we're media takeout because we're just making up stuff.
I mean, go ahead, Kyle.
Okay, well, Bonfyre is an artist signed to L.A. Reid's label, backed by Raphael Sadiq, who has an uncanny, similar look to Tori Kelly with the big, curly blonde hair and the soulful voice. Ed, you're going to tell me that's not Tori Kelly?
She's a white girl with crimply hair. I mean, she could be some chick from the early 90s from 90210. She's not necessarily Tori Kelly.
I don't even know what to say about this. Can you just keep it real, Kyle, and talk about Bonfyre, please?
Please.
Okay, so Bonfyre, man, I know we talked about Tom using the emojis last week with the flame emoji. Well, I'm giving this EP that came out last year and we somehow all slept on, I'm giving that emoji, I'm giving it like 5 emojis, 5 flame emojis. That's how fire this project is.
Wow.
Throwback 90s R&B. You know what? It kind of reminds me of that Bruno album that came out a couple years back. It's just pure nostalgia, and it just sounds good. I can't say if anything's gonna stand the test of time, but it just sounded like a good project, guys.
Well, Kyle, I mean, it had some pretty, they were pretty distinguishable samples they were used. She even, I think, sampled lyrics, sampled beats. I mean, it wasn't like Bruno was all original. It was inspired by the era. But Bonfyre kind of had some. I mean, she's not getting all the publishing on this one. I know that. So, but you're right. It's dope. I liked it a lot. And Ed, what did you think? We asked you to listen to it. Got your opinion too.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I'm not in love with it as strong as Kyle is, but I think what made it so appealing, like you guys said, it's very familiar sounding, and it uses a lot of 90s, not only samples, but just a lot of the songwriting cues. It feels very 90s, but it doesn't feel like a cast off, or it doesn't feel stale. It feels very 90s inspired. And she's wisely got a team behind her. They can keep that sound fresh and going and actually get it some placement on radio. So this is a very good look for R&B, because we talked about it in the Soul and Stereo Cypher earlier today, and some people were kind of like, she feels a little manufactured, blah, blah, blah. And I get that, because it might not feel as organic as some artists, but at this day and age, player, if we get an R&B artist making actual R&B songs and actually has a halfway decent voice, that's all your boy asks. That's all I ask.
Can I ask you guys a question, though? Do we keep it real on this podcast?
Unfortunately, too much.
Okay, so she has a number one single right now, Automatic. How do you think it reached number one?
Oh, I know how it reached number one. You should listen to my last sentence.
I'm just saying, man.
Again, that's the way the industry is, and it's, fair or unfair, but sometimes if the music is good, I'm much more willing to give you a pass than if the music is absolute garbage and you're sliding up the ladder.
Well, let's at least say that.
Cool.
The music, the music is not garbage, but let's be clear: there is definitely money behind this album or this project and this single, right?
And I know a lot of fans. No question. A lot of fans have been able to sniff that out pretty clearly, and that's why they were saying in the cipher, "Oh, she feels a little manufactured, a little forced," which I get, but the talent is there, and like I said, I wouldn't necessarily call it the next Bruno album, but I see the similarities. The music is solid. I'm here for it.
Well, yeah, Tom, you make a great point. Well, Tom,
go ahead,
Kyle. Money behind it, I don't think is the issue, but I think what's weird about it is she's not an urban AC artist. What people don't know is she actually put out a single before Automatic came out, the song Ready to Love, and that was more of like an Ariana Grande debut album because it was produced by Harmony. It was more of that sound, and that was actually sent to Rhythmic Radio. So Urban AC is not where she planned to be initially, but she just found a home there with Automatic.
I'm glad you brought this up, Kyle, because we have a young artist now here, Bonfyre, who they went to Urban AC with. They got a number one single. It might have been what they considered to be the easy route to gain quick attention. But think about this. We've been told by many of our artists, our favorite artists from the 90s, they're afraid to go to Urban AC. So it's like, man, we're at a crossroads here. It's like people don't want to feel old, but now we have artists going straight to that format who are hitting big. It's like, man, we're at a weird time in R&B right now. People still think they can hit that younger radio.
Right. It's such a weird time, and I think what we're seeing is people just trying to get in where they can fit in, player. And the old route just isn't working anymore. Like we've said 1,000 times on this podcast, we can't act like it's 1994 and do what we did then. We got to be creative and strategic. If this, again, is a way for us to get quality R&B songs on programs and on format lists and on the ears of younger audiences and older audiences too, just new audiences, do whatever it takes. It's all good.
Yep. Absolutely. And I got to make one last point. The song Propane off her album, it samples Blackstreet. So when I first heard the sample and then I heard the trap drums come in, I swore I thought I saw Chauncey rolling over in his grave, but the song's actually pretty good, so I'll give it a pass.
He's not dead. He's not dead, dude.
Shout out to Chauncey.
Wow.
Can we talk about this Mariah Carey Ain't No song? The remix came out, and we all thought it was going to be Lil Kim or Missy Elliott or Cardi B, but instead we got Stefflon Don. Who is this Stefflon?
Who is this? Who is that?
Why would you have to kick it to me? Stefflon Don. Oh my gosh. Now, I know that you players all, and I'll be with it, because I was like this too. I was like, this is an opportunity for us to get at least Kim. Kim has worked with her before. Brat, Missy, all these artists that kind of would, and it makes sense. And I know some younger people will be like, oh, who cares? They're old. Well, she sampled a song from that era, so it's nothing wrong with shouting out those artists who are part of that era. Or, as much as y'all know how I feel about Cardi, she does fit that vibe too. So I wouldn't mind seeing any of that. Stefflon the Don, dog. Stefflon has been blowing up. Well, I don't know if blowing up. Has been catching waves on social media for the past year or so. So it doesn't surprise me. But I ain't feeling the remix, dog. It is not for me.
I mean, Mariah's part is exactly the same, right?
That's the same, but it's not, and it doesn't bring anything to the table at all to me.
Yeah.
We talked about placement and feeling forced earlier. This is another one that feels like a favor.
Tom, I'm going to need you to walk the streets of Brooklyn and find Lil C's. We need a verse from him.
I mean, I've seen Lil C's out at events, just randomly out in the streets, so I know he's available to do a placement. I mean, I don't think that's the issue, though, to be honest.
Absolutely not.
Shout outs to Lil C's. We got a couple more records that I want to touch on. You guys give me your thoughts on it. Rahsaan Patterson dropped a new record.
Wow. Man, Ed, you heard this one?
I have not, and people have been saying it's great. I have not heard this one yet.
It's a really good song, and like you said, the response has been great. Our readers have chimed in. I wasn't even expecting it, to be honest, because Rahsaan Patterson's kind of a bit obscure to some people, but man, the comments have been amazing. The song is really dope, really soulful. I'm excited for his album. He's coming back later this year. I think it's been almost 8 years since his last album, so it sounded like it'll be a dope project.
Yeah, it's been, man, I don't know if he's, if he dropped a project since I moved to Birmingham, it was like right before. It's been a good decade since we've heard from Homie, so he's always had kind of this quiet but strong fan base, and it sounds like this project is just back to basics. I can't wait to check it out.
Yep, and another new song, Angie Stone. She dropped a song with the most un-R&B title of all time, Dinosaur. Tom, what is this dinosaur song about? Is it about dinosaurs?
No, it's a cool analogy. You heard it, right, Ed?
I did hear it, yeah, and I liked it. There was, I'm going to say, because I'm a big Angie fan. I actually loved her last album. I'm blanking on the name of it, but I really liked her last album. I loved the metaphor she was saying and she used in the song, but the thing about it, it just something felt a little like her vocals or something just felt a little lethargic. It felt like Angie, but like Angie a little bit tired. Like Angie was like, "Oh man, I just spent all day shopping and getting these groceries, and I gotta get in this studio and record this song." It's something that just felt a little off about the delivery. So in fact, could they like get that and re-record it because the production was good, and I love what she was trying to say in the song, but the actual performance was just okay.
Yep, and some new album news for you guys. Anderson .Paak, who, Ed, is he R&B or hip-hop? What is he?
He's one of those artists that I preach about a lot that I don't feel like we should put in a box. He'll have an album and it'll be like half R&B and the other half will be hip-hop. No different than a Lauryn Hill or Missy Elliott in their times.
Well, he just released the track list to his new album, and some epic R&B features on here. We have Jasmine Sullivan, Nate Dogg, Smokey Robinson, Andre 3000, and of course my girl, Brandy Norwood. That'll be a good one.
Yes. It'll be interesting. It's always a little testy to kind of judge an album by just looking at the titles and the features. That's weird. It's like looking at a menu and being like, that's good, but you never actually tasted the food.
I feel like that's where we're at these days, though, Ed. Unfortunately.
Dad, you ain't wrong there, player. But there's still enough potential here that I would be like, this could be interesting. And he never disappoints. I know his last album got mixed reviews, and honestly, I think that's just because expectations were high instead of the album actually being bad, because it wasn't at all. But with that track list and with his hunger to come out with something less than 6 months after dropping his last one, I think it might be something special. And the single's good.
Yep. And Tom, I know you had a project that you premiered on the site earlier in the week.
We had a couple of projects. Kyle, I don't know if you remember this, but you came to New York for my wedding back in 2014. Do you remember this?
It was a lot of Henny going on, but I think I did.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God.
Do you remember we went to Soul Village the week of?
Yeah, I was with you and Zeppelin at that time, I think.
Yes, exactly. So there was a group that performed that night, Amora Kismet. We interviewed them. Now, the lead singer of that group has returned as a solo artist. She's really dope. Her name is Talia. We premiered her new album, In Motion. It's pretty dope. I want you guys to check it out. She's a really cool artist. We always thought that group had potential. I guess it didn't work out, and she's back as a solo artist, so we have that premiere on the site. And another
Tom, isn't
album
that Tom, isn't that the girl that looks like Aaliyah?
Yes, you remember. That's what you remember?
Of course, that's what he remembers.
I
as
don't
Ed would
know.
say. As Ed would say, oh my God.
Guys, if you're listening to this, I want you guys to check out the music, but more importantly, check out her and the video and tell me that she doesn't look like Aaliyah. Please.
Can
More
we focus,
importantly,
dog?
More importantly, we premiered another song by an artist named Gabriel Lynn with a song called Who Do You Love? Our boy, Rio Bridges, he's a producer. He reached out to us to premiere this song. They love our outlet, I Got Soul, and it's a really dope song. Check it out. They've been promoting it heavily. So love what he's doing, love what she's doing. Another really dope artist. So had two really cool premieres yesterday on the site.
I've heard the Gabrielle Lynn song. I checked that one out on the site, and I was pretty impressed there. So I can definitely give the thumbs up to that one.
Cool.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I need you to get your popcorn, get your soda. Pam from Total will be joining us on the podcast shortly.
Two really cool premieres yesterday on the site.
I've heard the Gabrielle Lynn song. I checked that one out on the site, and I was pretty impressed there. So I can definitely give the thumbs up to that one.
Cool.
All right, guys. Well, I need you to get your popcorn, get your soda. Pam from Total will be joining us on the podcast shortly.
Yes.
All right, guys. Welcome back to SoulBack, the R&B podcast. And, guys, like I said, every week we try to bring in someone special, someone who has brought soul back, and I think we have another person who has done so. Tom, who is the special guest for this week?
I'm really excited about our guest this week. It's Pam from Total, and one of our favorite voices from the '90s and beyond. And I always remember my first interview with her and how excited she was to do it, and how gracious she's always been to I Got Soul and supporting what we've done over the years. So, Pam, welcome to the SoulBackPodcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom. Good to be back in your presence. Well, you know what I mean? It's good to be back in your presence. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Pam, let me just start out by saying, man, I'm really excited that you have new music out. We just featured the video for Why on the site last week. Man, it's
nice.
Great music you're still making. Here we are in 2019, still making good music. You debuted a couple decades ago. It's hard to say, but it's been a long time, and you're still making good music. Talk about the new music you have coming out.
You know what, Tom, thank you so much. At the end of the day, first and foremost, I got to thank God. If not for nothing else, it's just like I really thank God for just really keeping me relevant. I feel great. I don't feel like I'm out of the loop. You know how sometimes you go away and you come back and it's just like, oh my goodness, I feel like a fish out of water. I actually feel like right at home. It's just like it feels like the beginning for me because it is a fresh start apart from Total. So it's just like this new album actually is just me. It's actually just Pamela Long. It's my life. It's the things that I've been through, the trials, the tribulations, the ups, the downs, the marriage, the failed marriage. You know what I mean? Just like being with the girls, not being with the girls, but still maintaining the sisterhood. So it's so many things in this album, and then it's like, to me, it's very colorful. This album reminds me of like I would say it's in between a Kendrick Lamar, Chance the Rapper, and it's just like because it has that colorfulness to the album. So I'm so excited about it, like I really am. And this new single, Why, it's about, to be honest, it's about my relationship with my ex-husband. One day he called me up and he said to me, he just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it seemed like it was a back and forth. And I called my dude up, Kenny Black. I called him up and I was just like, I want to come in and record. And I was literally crying recording the track. So it was just like it was my heart's cry, and that's why you hear the why. It was my heart crying, over the relationship.
Wow, that's amazing. So wait, we didn't even realize you had an album coming out. Tell us about that.
You know what? I actually didn't know that I had it. I always wanted to do an album. Let me just stop there. I always wanted to do an album, but I really didn't know the depth of, which direction to go. I'll say it that way. I didn't know what direction to go in, and it all came about when my heart got broken. When my heart was broken, it was just like song after song began to pour out of me, and I didn't even think that I was a writer, because when we were with Bad Boy and doing records with Puff, it was just like, if it's not broke, don't fix it, is what they always say. He had a writer, Terry Robertson, that did some amazing music for Total, So For Real, and so many other people. It was just like, if it's not broken, don't fix it. So, but I never knew I could write the way that I write now. And it was just like, sometimes you never know what's on the inside of you until what's inside of you has to come to the forefront.
It's amazing.
Absolutely. Now, Pam, it's interesting you talk about this formula that Bad Boy had in Ed. Let's talk about that Total sound for a bit. It was, the production was banging. Total sounded great on it. Ed, fill the readers in on what the Total sound was.
Man, the Total sound is just a prominent part, man, of like my fandom of R&B, Total. And a lot of people don't even realize that Total, we talk about Puff, we talk about Craig Mack, but Total was like in that original signing of Puff's group. So when we talk about the emergence of Bad Boy in the 90s, a lot of that sound came from Pam and the girls. Like, they were part of that sound that revolutionized R&B at the time. And the crazy thing to me about Total and their legacy is that when we see a lot of artists, we see them at their heights, we see them go up and they peak, and then, just the way of the world, we also see them decline. But the way that the Total arc was, Total had 2 great albums, 2 successful albums, platinum and gold, and then they decided to go their separate ways. We never really saw Total like fall off, so to speak. They kind of went away at their peak. So Pam, talk a little bit about your introduction into the world of Bad Boy and how you guys got together and helped cultivate that sound that today still remains timeless.
Right. You know what? It's the way that you put this is so beautiful. It's definitely a great segue for me to come in on it. Kim and Keisha they were actually a group, and I was a solo act. I really didn't know I was a solo act. A friend of the family had took me to the studio when I was 15 years old. I met a gentleman by the name of Norman Bradley. He wrote a song for me to do that night, and I did it. I recorded it. It was my first time ever doing it. I was excited. I was a kid. It was just like my dream come true. I didn't think it was going to go any further. I actually, in passing, saw Kim and Keisha because after the first song that I did with them, he had me come back into the studio. I met Kim and Keisha in passing. They seemed like they were pretty nice or whatever, and from that moment on, I heard a song that they did. They heard the song that I did, and that was, I thought it was the end of it. And one day, the guy, Norman, called and was like, Pam, he was like, I got an idea. I think that you should be a group with Kim and Keisha. The girls, they're looking for a third member. And I was just like, it was a couple of weeks later, and I was just like, nah, I don't want to be in no group. I was like, I'm fine, and because I was a little knucklehead, 15 years old, and I was just like, nah, I don't want to be in a group. And he kind of pretty much kept asking me, and he talked me into it. The girls were actually on the phone, and I was just like, all right, I'll do it, never knowing that it was going to lead to something else. And needless to say, Kim and Keisha had a couple of friends that they knew, took us to New York, and we met a woman by the name of Kathy Dukes. Didn't know that she had any affiliations with Puffy until almost like a year later. She helped to groom us. We would be driving down the street. She'll have us jump out of the car and sing for Heavy D, CL Smooth, and all types of people. And it was just like, regardless of, it didn't matter if the person was a celebrity or not. She would have us jump out of the vehicle, and we're sitting there, and you're scared. She's like, get out of my car. And we're like, what's going on? She's like, get out of the car and sing. And so that right there, I didn't know that she was grooming us at the time. She told us that she was going to take us to Puff. and we were all excited, and we went to go see Puff. And mind you, when he comes down from the Hit Factory on the elevator, as soon as the elevator door closes, we begin to sing for him. He steps off, walks through the lobby, goes into a back room, and we begin to perform for him. He never said, I liked you, never said anything. His face was like flint. It's just like you look at like, oh, my goodness, but I know that this is my moment that I have to perform my heart out. This is all I have. And so he asked us our names afterwards, and he was like, thank you for coming. And I was just like, oh, God, he hated us. So, you know, as a 15-year-old, you're hurting. You know, I got tears when I left. When I leave there, I'm crying. 5 o'clock that morning, he called Kathy and was like, don't take those girls anywhere. I want to sign them. So that's how that happened. But when we first got signed, Puffy groomed us. We didn't go right into the industry. Like, he waited a couple of years, and it was just like by the time I turned, I believe I was 18 at the time? When I turned 19. When I turned 19 years old, that's when the first song came out. And so we have been rocking with Puff ever since, but Puff made sure, like, he groomed us in that whole total sound. It wasn't something that Puff created. It was something that we had. I was more, they called me the voice. My voice was the functress. Keisha was the seductress, the one that had the seductive voice, and Kima was the one that they called sassy. And so our name in the beginning was total opposite, because if you look at us, every last one of us, we don't look anything alike, and our sounds are completely different. But Puffy started calling us Total for short, and it stuck. So that's why the opposite was taken off. And from that moment, it was just like we did New Jersey Drive, and it was like, it was just gone. And, of course, you know, Big came, give me all the chicken heads from Patterson, and it was just over. It was just over.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Pam, you talked a lot about the grooming process, and that's something that, just being honest, and I've talked about a lot before on this podcast, I feel like a lot of younger artists this generation, I feel like we skip the grooming process, and we have a lot of raw talent out there, and while that's cool, it doesn't get refined before it reaches that next level. Talk a little bit about how Puff took total opposites and kind of groom y'all into what we heard by the time New Jersey Drive dropped. We hear this outstanding group that seems like they've been together for 50 years because that process was just set in stone by then.
Absolutely. You know, one thing I can say is that at the age of 15, I shouldn't have been in there, but Puff had us in the club. Like, we would, for one, he took us to the club. We would see how Puff, handled himself and how he was in the VIP, and he was with Jodeci, and he was with Mary, and so he kept us around those that were, the ones that were above us, the ones that were really doing their thing, and so we had an opportunity to see Mary, and not only in the club, but we saw them on the road. We got an opportunity to be in the studio with them, to see how they conducted themselves, to see how a real studio session went, and how Puffy was about his money. You know, how Puffy was like, look, money is time and time is money, so I'm not coming in here to waste time. You're not going to come in here and just not do anything, but when we come into this place, you're coming to work. We were in his office doing paperwork. We even had etiquette classes. You know what I mean? We had to sit down. We had to have etiquette classes, and it was certain things that we learned. We had to sit down with a PR and actually learn how to make sure to be able to conduct an interview in the right way. You know, with so many things that I remember sitting in these different rooms and doing, and you had to go from one room to another room, and then you would have a mass of media people that would come in, and we had media training and knowing how to look someone in the face when you're having an interview. Don't put your head down, and all of those things. There was so many things that Puff took us through, the grooming part. And like you said, nowadays a lot of young people have a lot of talent, but I look at it as the fault of I'm not going to say it's the person's fault, but it's the industry. Industry has gotten to a place where they have itchy ears to me. And if it's just like, it sounds good, so then let's jump on the bandwagon, opposed to allowing the artist just to be who they are and just to develop that. Because back in the day, that's exactly what they did. You look at it, it was LL Cool J, it was Biggie, it was Pac, it was Craig Mack, and nobody looked the same, sound the same, but it was just at the same time, too, you can appreciate everybody's music. But nowadays, it's just like the record labels want everybody to be Beyonce. Everybody's not going to be Beyonce. Everybody's not going to be Rihanna. It's just like, and when you hold people to a box, that's when you have artists nowadays the way that they sound, because they're trying to do everything that, like the rappers, I'm trying to do everything that Lil Wayne did, but I'm just putting a new face to it. No, just let the artist be the artist. Let them come in and do what it is that they do instead of trying to make a clone.
Wow. You're right, Pam.
She preaching, y'all. She preaching.
Yeah.
I really believe that. Yes.
Pam, let me ask you this. Ed mentioned both Total albums and how that, you guys didn't get a chance to fall off, and how those were both really good albums. You guys came together as a group for the Bad Boy Family Reunion tour a couple years ago. Prior to that, I know you guys were just touring, just as two members, but you guys came back all three members for that tour. So was there ever a chance it was going to be a third Total album at any point, even recently?
Yeah, you know what? To be honest with you, a Total album is still something that I believe that's going to happen. It's just more or less that within myself and my own heart, because everybody was ready, right? I can completely be honest. Kim and Keisha and like so many other people were ready to do the Total album. But there was something burning in me, and it's been on me like forever. I've always put myself on the back burner to allow everything else to continue to go forward, and I believe that the girls did it as well, too. In some aspect, there was some certain things that they wanted to do at the time that we all fell back and was just like, okay, let me just do this, because this is keeping the engine going. And also, we're under contract, honestly. And then, too, at the same time, too, because of the love that we had for one another. And when Total was at the height of our career and everything just stopped, you're absolutely right. It wasn't like we fell off. It wasn't like this huge, like, the album was whack and so there was no more Total. It was just like at the height of our career. And personally, I can say for myself, it was just internally. I had so much internal I had so many internal issues going on. And it was just like I had to find me. I had to find me, and it was just like I remember waking up one day and I was just like, dog, who the heck am I? I could see my image. I'm looking at myself, but I'm like, yo, who are you? And what have you become? And I'll never forget in that moment of November of 1999, I was just like, hey, this is it for me. And I remember going to my older brother, and I said to him, I can't do this anymore. I'm about to give my life to the Lord. And I promise you, I was just like, I cannot, emotionally and mentally. It was just physically, I had everything. And everything, you wouldn't think that this girl that has everything that she always wanted, but was so empty on the inside. You understand? And it was just like I had this longing for something that I was just like, yo, what I have is not enough to fill me. And I found myself, you start to go deeper into things. Thank God I wasn't into heavily into drugs or anything like that, but alcohol. I never drunk on the road. I never had to get on the stage to drink. But when I was home, it was like I was a mess. But when I got in front of people, because I never needed that stuff to make me go and get on the stage. I never needed something to help me to go and to be okay on the stage, because that was my solace. When I was on stage, and it was all of me. But when I was at home, I'm drinking like a fish, trying to find out what's missing. And so that's when I had given my life to Christ, and it was just like the lights turned on for me, and I was just like, all right, cool. Like, all right, I understand. Like, I understand, like, my life means something now. And so after that, with the whole Total situation, Keem and I went out. A lot of people said that we wouldn't be able to do it, and we respected the fact, because we went to Keisha, and at the time, Keisha was just like, right now I'm not ready to get on the road. I'm a mom. I'm taking care of my kids. And as sisters, it hurts to hear it, but you have to respect it. And then when things started to move with myself and Kima, it was just like people were like, oh, okay, we miss Keisha, but Pam and Kima holding it down, and, people were behind us and all of that. And when we did the Bad Boy tour and Keisha came back, it was amazing. It was just like, to be in that space, in that place with Puff and Mace and everybody, it was like family all over again. And then after that, everybody was like, yes, the Total album. But in my heart, I had actually, when we were on the tour, I dropped a single called You Said, and overseas it went number 3. It got to number 3 overseas. So my thing was like, I'm excited. I'm like, yo, my baby has actually went number 3 overseas. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I was just, my thing was to everybody is just, please just give me the opportunity to do something that I've always wanted to do, regardless if I sell one record or if I sell 10 million. It's just like, just allow me this moment, because this is something that I've always wanted to do. I've always fell back. I've always said, okay, and I'll do it for the team. I'll do it for the team. I said, but this is the moment for me. I feel it in my heart. Like, this is my moment. Please just respect it. And then after this moment, let's get back on. Let's get back in the studio, all 3 of us, and do what we have to do. So that's my thought process, you know?
That's a crazy story. Ed and Tom, I got to ask you guys, and Pam, feel free to chime in whenever you want.
Yes.
But Ed, I'll start with you here.
Cool.
So Total dropped 2 albums, 2 amazing projects, and then they went their separate ways. As a fan of Total, Ed, would you have been, like, because it's been 20 years since that last project now. As a fan, are you okay with ending it at the second album, or over the years were you craving more, Ed?
And over the years, and, you know, this is common knowledge, so it's not anything new, but I was a huge Total stan. I was a huge stan of that Bad Boy sound. So when the Kima Keisha Pan album dropped, and I remember I had, like, that was like my first year of college when that joint dropped. And the album was really good. Singles were flying off of it, Sitting Home, all that stuff, blowing up. They did a joint with Foxy. When they just, like, went away, I'm like, where'd my girls go? Because I felt like there was so much left gas in the tank. So when those third round of albums came out, when 112 did theirs and Faith did theirs and Carl Thomas came on the scene, I always craved at least one more album, because it felt like part of the fam was just missing. As everybody was hitting that third step, I wanted Total to be part of that. And to this day, I still think that, as I said earlier, it felt all kind of like unfinished business. I think that it's still some gas in the tank. So, yeah, I always wanted that extra album.
Can I chime in real quick? Because this is important, Pam. And, like, I remember when the second Total album came out, man, it was like a defining moment in my life for music. You know, I think I was in high school. You know, I remember buying the Trippin' single. I remember Sitting Home coming out, man. These were, like, I still look at these songs like that was a part of my life, and the most important part. And I was growing up, like, I still listen to those songs every day in that album. So it's like I was waiting for that next Total album. So it's like, man, this music was important to me, and so many people out there, I know, feel the same way. So that's how I felt about it.
Right, absolutely. And you know what, that is such a blessing, and it blesses my heart to hear that. And it's just like, you know, when you say to yourself, like, wow, you know what, wow. Like, it's kind of like, I can't even find the words to say. But what I can say is that I really don't think that it's the end. I think it's just the beginning of so much. You know how, like, when, who can I say? Like, I look at the Jackson family, right? And I look at Michael, I look at Janet, and they were the 2 breakouts, right? You know what I mean? They were the ones that got the most notoriety and all of those things. And I felt like within my heart, it's not me trying to have this breakout moment. It's more or less that it's like this thing in your heart. Like, I look at Janet and Michael, and especially Michael. Had Michael not done, because Janet was never in a group. She was just in the family. Had Michael not stepped away from his brothers, he would have never, ever fulfilled that moment of touching so many other people, because he would have been stagnated a little bit, you know, as far as with his brothers. But when people got an opportunity to meet the Michael Jackson, to hear the music, and, you know, like when you listen to Human Nature, when you listen to Lady of My Life, when the Thriller moment, all of these different moments touch people to a point where Michael was able to travel, and not only his message was what? to heal the world. You know what I mean? And his message was to touch people in a way as to, it's just like so many things that Michael did. Had he stayed in that place with his brothers, I don't think he would have been able to do it, but he always came back. You would always find Michael saying, come on, let's get this reunion going. And they always would look to get an album going, but at the end of the day, unfortunately, they didn't get an opportunity to make a number one album again. What I do believe is that Pamela Long is this piece in me that has to I got to take that moment to say, okay, because there are people that I know within my heart that I have to reach and I have to touch. And it's not just to say that I'm trying to get my pockets fat, or I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do that. But no, it's a mission. It's something on the inside of me that says you have to do this. And if you don't do this, then shame on you for not doing what it is that you know that I placed on the inside of your heart to do, Pamela. So that's the thing that I have to fulfill. That's the fulfillment that I'm looking for. It's not the fact that I don't want to do anything, that I'm looking to do something apart from my sisters, because it's the easy way is to say, come on, y'all, let's do an album. Let's do the album now, and then I'll do it afterwards. But the hardest thing to do is to take the harder route, because it's actually harder for me to do this than it is Total, because the brand Total is like forever. You know what I mean? It's something that's already there. It's an establishment there. But Pamela Long is not established. And so that's a harder route. So when someone really takes a moment just to look at it, they say, you know what? I kind of get it. I get that. It's something bigger than you that's driving you to do this, opposed to something being selfish. So that's the only reason. After this, I'm down all day long to do an album with my girls. I love Kim and Keisha, without a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
Pam, I got to ask you this, because I'm just looking right now, and this might be the most epic R&B moment in history. So in 1998, Faith Evans dropped her second album. The following week, Total drops their second album, and then 112 the following week drops their second album. Was there a bad boy meeting that took place that explained this marketing strategy? Because that's amazing.
You know what? Puff was a strategist. He was a genius. I can honestly say that I had the opportunity, and I'm thankful that I still have a brother and sisterhood with Puff. That's like my big brother. Every time I see him, I'm like, it's almost like I'm still in awe of Puff. You know, I love him so much, but at the same time, too, I have my moments and I look at him like I'm still in awe of just you, because you are, his mind to me is just so amazingly awesome. It's just like when he really says can't stop, won't stop, that really is his motto all day, every day. And yes, Puff did have a strategy. He wasn't going to do it any kind of way. He set it in motion. And what he said, if he said, okay, Monday we're going to do this, Tuesday we're going to do this, Wednesday we're going to do this, you best believe Monday you was going to do this, Tuesday you was going to do this, and Wednesday you was going to do this. And if you did not do it, you best believe Puff was going to say, hey, listen, Money, because that's what he would say. Hey, Money, hey. I said, why isn't this done? It wasn't like he forgot anything. So, yes, it was something that man did. He knew what he wanted, and he knew how to get it. And it's just like he capitalized off of the response. Because a lot of people sometimes don't know how to maintain the win, and Puff knew how to maintain the win. It's different. I heard someone say before, I think it was Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he said, some people know how to win, but they don't know how to maintain the win. And Puff knew how to strategize, and when he said it, he made sure he wasn't going to wait till the next day to get it done. You know how some people say, well, you know what, I'll get it done tomorrow. If he said it, he stayed on top of his word. And yes, it was a strategy all day long. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah. Genius at work.
Cool.
Yeah, genius at work. I'm telling you, it was something to behold.
You know, while we were discussing this podcast, we were thinking, if Total was to continue with just two members, and Keisha was not going to continue with the group, we've seen other groups replace members and continue on, like Dru Hill. Right now, they added two members from Playa, and they're still touring.
Yeah. Really?
It's like a combined group. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know.
Yeah, Black and Smokey. They're part of Dru Hill now. Really? So we were thinking, who could we add to Total to make to to make it a super group of sorts, and have 3 members back. So each of us came up with some names who we thought we could add, but we'll go around the table and let you know, and then you could chime in as well. But Ed, you go first.
Well, see, I got it down to 2 names, and there were 2 names that I felt like, while they're different enough that they would bring something different to the table, but their style still fits. So my first one was Maya, and my second is Latavia from Destiny's Child, because I feel like Latavia, y'all done slept on her. Put her to work. She needs something to do. I feel like she'd be good in total. Those are my.
Oh. Kyle, who you got?
I'm going to go with a new artist, Tiana Taylor, who I think embodies what that 90s was all about. Her dance, her sound, everything. And what she grew up on, you can tell she's influenced by the Totals and that era of music, so I think she would fit in seamlessly.
That's a good one, too. I wanted to go with another Destiny's Child member. I wanted to go with LaToya, who was also, removed from the group early on. But, man, she's been creating some good R&B music. She just needs the space to fit in. I think she'd be great with Total. Pam, what do you think about this? And who do you think would be a good fit for Total?
You know what? What was so dope is when Tiana Taylor came. When you said Tiana Taylor, I was like, yes. I was like, Tiana all day, because all day long. Yes, I met Tiana. And I remember meeting her. Her thing was like, she's like, Pam, she's like, I loved y'all. She's like,
wow.
So we actually performed with her before as well too. So it was dope for you to say Tiana. It was amazing. And also I would say, who else? You know what? I thought about Meelah from 702, because there was a time. Now check this out. There was a time. I don't think a lot of people know this, but Kima had quit the group at one point. Kima quit the group, and it was myself, Keisha, and Meelah.
What?
When was this? Everybody was loving it. Everybody was loving it, but then it was just like Meelah. Puff took a while to sign Meelah, and of course everything that went down between us, me, myself, and Kima and Keisha, everything got back to normal. You know how sometimes as sisters you get upset with each other, you be like, whatever, I'm done. But yeah, Meelah was rocking with us. We had recorded a few songs with Meelah, and everybody was going bananas over it.
Pam, when was that before the second album or after the second album?
No, that was after the second album. After the second album.
Oh,
yep,
wow.
We was going to come back. Yep, it was after the second album. We was going to come back with Meelah, and Puff waited too long. In 702, the girls, they had came back to the table with a deal, and Meelah went with that deal because Puff was taking too long. Yes, Meelah was back. We recorded some songs with Meelah. We still have them. When I say it was fire, fire.
Oh, my goodness.
Man, SoulBack gives you the exclusive, dog. I have never heard that.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And so what it was is that Puff, Puff started saying, he started calling us the chocolate girls, because, Meelah and I are more dark-skinned than Keisha, so it was just like, Puff was like, oh. Yeah, so it was really good. It was dope, yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. And Pam, before we let you go, thank you so much for being an amazing guest and sharing so much history with us. Anything you'd like to add to everyone listening?
You know what? Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you guys, Tom, Kyle, Ed. Thank you so much for just this time and this moment. It means a lot to me, and I just want everybody to know that your girl is back. The sound that people fell in love with in the 90s is still here, still relevant, and I'm still going to rock as hard as these young cats do. I'm not letting up on anything that I do. I'm coming harder. Yes. And thank y'all. And just to let everybody know that the EP is on the way. The album is coming. And then, too, to let everybody know that they can find You Said it's on, You Said, I do have a joint called You Said that is also all social media networks, but the new single, Why? Get it now. And the video is actually on YouTube as well, too. So they get an opportunity to see everything.
Amazing.
Right. Pam, I want to wish you the best of luck with the solo career, the single, and once that blows up, hopefully we get a Total reunion, and once that blows up, hopefully you can put 112 back together, because we need them back together, too.
My God.
Oh, that's a low blow.
The guys are amazing. Yes, I love them so much.
Pam,
Right, Pam.
thank you so much once again for joining us, man. We respect you and love you so much. We will always support you, and just glad you're keeping it going. We got your back.
Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. And please, please, please let me know when you want to have me back, all right?
All right, guys. So that was Pam from Total on the podcast. What an awesome guest there.
What a delight. A freaking delight, as my girl Meelah from the Soul and Stereo Cypher would say. Shout out to Meelah. But Pam was wonderful and hit us with some of that new information. Some exclusives on this joint.
I'm still going nuts over here. Meelah was part of Total? Can you imagine that?
But when you think about the timeline, it makes sense. If you watch that episode of Unsung with 702, there was definitely a point around there where 702 had that little fall off, and then I guess Total, they were having their issues, so it was the opportunity for those. We almost saw like a 7-0 Total supergroup. Crazy.
Yep. All right, guys, are you ready for the Play It Please Awards?
Maybe.
We haven't done one of these in a while, so we got a couple here.
All right.
First and foremost, did you guys see Brandy at the Jazz in the Gardens Music Festival in Miami? Where she was lip syncing her life away?
Look, player, I saw it, and even though sometimes I give you Brandy fans a lot of grief for your stand-up, sometimes I have to say, I'm not too mad at lip syncing when it's done okay, but when it's so overtly terrible, player, you've been in this game a long time, and you can do better.
I feel bad. That looked embarrassing for her. I mean, I'm sure it'll pass, and people, in this day and age, people forget about it and move on to the next embarrassing thing that happens like 30 minutes after. You know how this news cycle works, but man, it was not a good look. But we had this debate on our Facebook page. Do you feel bad for someone who's lip syncing? Do you hold it against them? Why would Brandy, the vocal Bible, be lip syncing? She's not like one of the top dancers we know of.
Again,
yeah. Listen, guys, I've seen Chris Brown on stage many, many times, and the man dances like no other. So if he's gonna lip sync from here to here, I'll give him a pass. For Brandy, who, Tom, like you said, is considered the vocal Bible, doing the little 1-2 step on stage, I don't think that should be a pass for her. Ed?
Well, again, the only reason I give a slight pass is because there are circumstances that go on. Maybe she was sick. Maybe she wasn't able to perform up to par. But the reason why I give you a side eye is when your lip syncing is so terrible that it's mad noticeable. There's a lot of lip syncing going on. People just don't even realize it because it's well done. So I'm not mad at the practice in general, I'm not mad. But when it looks terrible, or if you flaunt it and judge other people for doing it, and then you turn around and do it. So, yeah, she gets to play a please for that one. But not because she's lip syncing, but because she did it so terribly.
Yep. The next Play a Please, I'm not sure why he's on here, but someone recommended that I put him on here so Ed would go off.
Oh boy.
My hero, Irv Gotti. Is he getting a Play a Please for his appearance on the Unsung?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Now, I don't know if y'all... Well, first of all, Tom doesn't watch TV, so I'm not even going to ask him. But
facts.
Kyle, did you see Irv Gotti on Unsung?
Yes, I did. On Lloyd's Unsung. That was actually a very well put together episode. My homegirl Ashanti was on there too, and Irv Gotti made a surprise appearance.
Hold on, pause, hold on. Lloyd had an Unsung episode? How?
I don't know. They're stretching. We're stretching at this point. The episode is good. I wouldn't call him Unsung. They should have just called it a recap of Lloyd's career, but it was a good episode.
Right. So, as you guys know, Murder Inc. and G-Unit had a very big beef that happened in the 2000s that unfortunately ended one legend's career. And then the Fire Festival happened, etc. NBA halftime. You know how that goes. But
we know how it goes.
Lloyd left Murder Inc. in about 2008, I believe. And he went to Interscope, which is where 50 is. And one of the first records he did on Interscope was a collaboration with 50 Cent. and that pissed Irv Gotti off, and Irv Gotti pretty much just said, Lloyd could get hit by a truck and I wouldn't care. Ed, why does that deserve a play, please? Isn't there loyalty involved in music?
Loyalty involved in music. Let me tell you something, player. Let me back it up for people who actually heard the story, because Kyle is leaving out key tidbits to protect his boy Irv Gotti. What happened was Lloyd left Murder Inc. under very dubious circumstances because Irv Gotti was too busy staying in and out of the courtroom. Lloyd actually wanted to, put out music and not sit on the shelf. So he went somewhere else. And when he went there, they suggested he do a collaboration with 50, who, I guess in 2008, he was still kind of a big deal, so whatever. He did it, and then Irv Gotti gets mad. Player, that is the equivalent of you starting a new job, and you're working with somebody, and your old former boss, who you quit because he was trash, gets mad at you. What does Irv Gotti have to do with anything that Lloyd is doing when Lloyd had his career sitting on the shelf? And then he's saying, well, that's loyalty. You weren't very loyal when you had him sitting on the shelf like a pack of frozen peas. You had no loyalty to Lloyd. Why does he owe anything to you? And then you say, oh, I hope he gets hit by a bus. Lloyd is the one on the show that's like, I think he's kind of crazy, but he did a lot for me, so it's okay. But your boy Irv, acting like a 40-year-old toddler, hollering and screaming on TV One, like somebody's going to see that. Come on, player. He deserves the biggest player, please. Why is Irv Gotti yelling about somebody working with his enemy when he left your whole label because you weren't using him? That's the lamest thing ever.
Wow.
Damn. And the last player, please. Tom, I think you'll appreciate this one because we're going to defend your boy, Jaheim. There were reports that came out that he is now an Uber driver on the side, and people were job shaming him. And Ed and Tom, we came to Jaheim's defense. Tom, we came to his defense. What do you have to say?
I'll say this. Didn't we learn anything from when we came to the defense of that guy from the Cosby Show? What's wrong with earning an honest living these days? If you have to drive Uber, if you have to work at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or whatever it may be, Ed, man, what's wrong with making an honest dollar?
Let me tell you, these people up here got all these jokes and memes on Twitter, but never, he fell off, yada, ha, ha, ha. When was the last Jaheim album you bought? If you ain't bought a Jaheim album since Ghetto Love, you have no reason to comment on that man's career. You should have bought Struggle Love like the rest of us and been struggling in 2016. That's why he's up here he's up here driving Ubers, because you didn't buy the Struggle Love when he was struggling. Stop it. Well, let that man Kyle, get his check. You get your check, he can get his check.
But Kyle, it was a little shocking, right? Because we figured he was making a lot from touring.
Yeah, I mean, he has hits. Jaheim has a huge following. He was one of the last R&B acts from that era that was still on a major.
Yep.
So I mean, he's got hits, but he's got bills. I mean, I don't know what his financial situation is looking like. Maybe he needs... I mean, it's been a long time since he had a gold-selling album, so maybe it's...
Well, you know what?
He had to stack that paper a little bit.
Well, I was on Jaheim's Instagram, and apparently he's vegan now, so I guess vegetables are pretty expensive.
Look, Whole Foods ain't no joke. You buy a peach from there, and they're like $3 each. I can't blame him. He's living that Whole Foods life.
Let me say this, though, guys. An artist like Jaheim could pull in about probably 10 to 20,000 a show. This is not being unrealistic. This is real life. I mean, these dudes make money on the road. So, I mean, that's why, to me, it was a little surprising.
Well, that's true, but again, we don't know the circumstances. Is he getting booked? Does he even want to do it? Maybe his voice is shot and he can't perform like he wants to. But at the end of the day, the bill's going to keep coming. So if that man's got to do this, and that's what he's got to do. But the audacity of Twitter to laugh at a man trying to pay his bills, because there's a whole lot of y'all favorite singers out here that ain't paying no child support. R. Kelly, Future. And at least Jaheim is trying to live his life right. Let that man prosper. Right. And buy his album next time. And shut up. I'm hot.
Tom, speaking of Jaheim, when you went to interview him last time, wasn't he yelling at his label executives to pay him?
We're not going to go there. Next topic.
Oh my gosh.
This was a real story, guys. Anyway, Ed, what's going on with SoulInStereo.com?
Like Jaheim, I'm just out here trying to pay my bills, player. So check out SoulInStereo.com. Last week, we actually had a really fun post. We had a post talking about 17 songs that launched viral dance crazes. Y'all know the songs from the Whippin' and Nay Nay to the Electric Slide to the Wobble. It's just a big post of all those songs. It has to be, because a lot of people message me and say, "Why haven't you added blah blah?" Look, player, has to have a song attached to the dance. So if there is a popular internet dance that was born from a song or vice versa, it's probably on this list. Go check that out at SoulInStereo.com. That's been a fun one.
Wow. Tom, can you do the Electric Slide?
Oh my God, I hope not.
Yes, if I had to.
Wow. Tom, what's going on with You Know I Got Soul? Shout outs to Marlene, by the way, your wife. She put together that awesome graphic for us.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The new graphic we got for the SoulBack podcast, shout out to Marlene. I mean, it's pretty cool. We want to just keep this thing going, man. We're doing good things with SoulBack. But she's helping us increase that, our relativity right now. But I want to give a shout out to a couple of things. We got a few new songs on the site you guys should check out. Tal from Drew Hill has a new single out, Whatever Happened to Love. We're not sure if he's still in the group or not, but he's working on a solo project right now. Tiffany Villarreal, one of your favorite artists, Kyle, from the Neptunes era, has a new project out called Wildflower. It's an EP. One of our favorite groups, Lipstick Gypsy, has a new song out called Damn It. That's definitely worth checking out. And The Dream has a new artist out called Bria Janae. She has a new EP out called What Is Love. Someone commented on the site, man, like they're just excited, like artists like this coming out and being real singers. So we're actually getting some good stuff coming out. Check the site. We got some news about Deborah Cox working on a new album. So a lot of good stuff going on with R&B. And, I'm excited right now, guys. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, I'm excited for R&B this year.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking really solid. We have our times where we complain or we're like, man, we miss when we were actually getting solid material out. But right now, between the Lucky Days and the Lipstick Gypsies and there's just so much stuff out there that if you're a fan, Robin Thicke dropped something and it was good too. If you're a fan of this genre and you haven't caught up, there's some great stuff from familiar faces and new artists out there. Check out Soul in Stereo. Check out You Know I Got Soul. Y'all missing out because 2019 is shaping up to be pretty decent.
Mm-hmm. And Ed, you forgot about Tori Kelly's alter ego, Bonfyre.
Gosh, I'm gonna fire you from this podcast.
All right, so before we get out of here, I'm going to quickly give you guys the SoulBack track of the day. I really wanted to ask this to Pam when she was on the podcast, but Tom and Ed held me up and tied me to a rope and put tape on my mouth so I wouldn't ask.
Oh,
but I needed to find out about that Neptune song that Total did, but I guess we won't be able to do that. And, it's not even my favorite Total song, so the SoulBack track of the day is, let's go with Sittin' Home. Ed, I know you like that song.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I love that song. And that song is funny because it was on the album. And I wish I had remembered this when Pam was on the podcast. But that album actually dropped, I think it was either my birthday or the day before. And I remember getting that album and listening to it. And this was before it became a single. And it's kind of like buried like midway through the album. And I'm like, this is a nice little groove. It's just like a very, the kids today would call it a bop. It's just a nice groove to it. And I just kept going back to it and kept going back to it and kept going back to it. And it's become one of my favorite Total songs ever and one of my favorite songs from that genre. I mean, from that era. And the video is cool. Just a defining track for them. Love it.
I'll just add that, that was back in the era when the video actually defined a song. Like, I remember Ed Lover being in the video. And then we actually had a remix, which was almost like a new song altogether. It was Shine. It had a new beat. It's unlike this Mariah Carey remix with just adding a rapper and keeping the song the same otherwise. It was like back then it was a different time for music. We were creative. So that's what I remember the most about the song.
Nice. And one last point before we get out of here, Ed. You mentioned that song came out on your birthday way back when. And that's a classic right there. And then your most recent birthday, Keith Sweat dropped a auto-tuned record called Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. So, funny how time flies, eh?
Dealing with you, I'm not gonna make it to my next birthday. I'm just gonna call it quits.
Damn. Or maybe Usher will drop his new robot influenced music next time your birthday comes around.
Yes, on October 28th. You heard it here first. You will hear some terrible music from a once great artist on my birthday.
Yep. All right, guys, I think that's enough. We're out of here. I'm going to go listen to more of Tori Kelly's alter ego, The Bonfire, and I'll see you guys next week.
I'm going to push him in the bonfire.
All right, guys. 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 All right.